Hey everyone, it's Jeff Rena with Pocketnow.com, and it's time to take a look at the hardware, performance, and specs of the lg-nitro-hd. And we're back. Now, before we start looking into the physical hardware of this device, the lg-nitro-hd, let's go ahead and talk about some of the specs that are actually running behind the scenes, just overall the measurements itself. It's a 4.5-inch high-definition screen. It is an LCD screen, which the jury is still out. We'll actually give you a comparison in the next few minutes of this LCD versus an AMOLED screen. The resolution on this 4.5-inch screen is 720 by 1280, so it is officially an HD screen. It has a pixel density of 329 ppi, pixels per inch. On the processing side of things, this device is powered by a dual-core 1500 MHz or 1.5 GHz processor, 1 GB of RAM. On the storage side of things, it has 4 GB of built-in memory for your applications, pictures, media, you name it. It does have a micro SD card slot, which is capable of using up to 32 GB. And on the radio side of things, this is an AT&T phone, as you can see right here. It's branded right by AT&T. It's not unlocked, at least right off the bat. So it's going to be compatible with your typical AT&T bands of 850, 900, 1800, 1900, and 21 MHz, respectively. Their LTE will run on a different spectrum. It's actually going to use some 700, which I believe is class 17, as well as 1700 in the 21 MHz spectrum for the LTE 4G side of things. Staying with the radio theme, this guy is capable of using Wi-Fi BGN and has Bluetooth 3.0. It's not the newest 4.0, but it is somewhat up there. So let's go ahead and dive in now to the device itself. The first thing we want to show off here, and we've noted in the past videos, are there 3 capacitive buttons. Instead of having 4, LG has opted to have 3. Of course, you have your home button, your back button, and the button on the left side actually doubles as a search and a menu button. So by long pressing, you'll actually be able to search, and by just tapping one time, you'll be able to bring up the menu. Moving to the bottom of the device, you'll have the ability to take off the back cover, which we'll do in a second. On the left side, you're going to have the volume rocker, up and down switch. The top of the device will have the headphone jack, of course, 3.5mm, your off and your lock, or power and your lock button, and then you'll have your micro USB charging port. It has a door over that port, which is all personal opinion. You may not like having these extra ports hanging when you're charging it, but it does also provide protection, so you may not get anything stuck in there. Moving over to the right side of the device, it's smooth. There are no camera buttons, nothing along those lines. And as you can see here, the device is relatively thin. It has a very sturdy build to it. The back has an industrial look. It's plastic, but it almost looks like a steel or a galvanized theme. It's going to have a 8 megapixel rear camera with an LED flash, capable of recording up to 1080p. And the front camera will be 1.3 megapixel for the video. Our next 2 videos will actually be testing the video recording of these 2 cameras. Let's go ahead and get the back cover open. As you'll see on the battery, it is an 1830 milliamp hour battery. We'll have your SIM card slot and your micro SD card slot, which it comes with a 16 gigabyte. Something to keep in mind, though, it is upgradable to 32 gigabytes. AT&T has begun rolling out their network in places like Boston, Massachusetts. It's not everywhere yet, but it is a slow build out, and they will get there eventually. If we go ahead and bring up the speed test application, we actually went to Boston, right in the center of Boston, actually in Cambridge, and ran a few speed tests. Let's go to the results real quick over here. Now, as you can see, the first few tests that we ran, I'll zoom in a little bit, the first few tests that we ran were on 3G. So we're looking at roughly 2.2 up, not even half down. And as you can see, we're pretty low. We're below 2, except for the first test, 2 megabits per second up, and in many cases, very poor ping times and upload speeds. But the most recent 2 were done in a 4G area. As you can see, we have almost 20, it's actually 19 megabits per second down, and almost 10 up. The big thing to keep in mind here are the ping times also increased drastically. So in our numerous testing, both with the speed test application and just typical web browsing, AT&T's 4G LTE does pass our tests if you're in an LTE area. We actually went ahead and ran the same test on a Verizon wireless 4G LTE device in the same exact spot, with the Droid Razr, and we actually got lower speeds. Now, that may have been because of the time of day. These down here are on Wi-Fi. These up here are on the 4G LTE. Better ping time, but slower speeds. That may have been because of the time of day, early in the morning. Maybe there are more Verizon customers in the area. It's one of those things we'll have to further test to see who is the clear-cut winner. Running a LinPack Pro test, you'll see the Nitro come in at just over 53 mflops per second. Running a multi-thread test, we'll give it 78, almost 80 mflops per second. Running a full benchmark in quadrant, with the Nitro HD coming in just over 2300, 2322 to be exact, we decided to pit it up side by side with the Motorola Droid Razr, which, as you can see, fared a little better with a score of 2666. Since we've already ran the test of these two side by side, let's go ahead and look at the screens. We'll actually go to Pocketnow.com. Now, the Nitro HD does have a higher resolution and a higher pixel density as a result. However, it is an LCD screen, whereas the Droid Razr is an AMOLED screen. It may be hard to tell on the camera, but while the Nitro HD does appear brighter, the colors look almost washed out, whereas with the Droid Razr they seem much more accurate, much deeper. The blues, for example, look much deeper. One of the latest buzzwords is, in fact, the pixel density. And putting them side by side, you can actually tell and see that the Nitro HD does have a much better pixel density. The camera may not pick it up, but if we actually zoom in here on the same text area on our main page, you can actually see the individual pixels and some jagginess in the font on the Droid Razr. Whereas on the Nitro, everything looks very smooth. And that has been our hardware overview of the LG Nitro HD. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or if you'd like to see further details on this device, please navigate on over to our main page with the link in the description. Thanks for watching, everyone.